Yeah.
In your time and in your stops, have you found something that you think works particularly well with any team when you have a step up in competition like you will have this week? Like something you tell them or something you get them ready for, or not really?
I mean, not really. I mean, we treat every game as the same, pretty much. I mean, the next game is the most important game on our schedule, right? And we always say, why is this game important? Because the Rams are playing, and so regardless of who we play, it's important to our guys. And certainly, there are games that on the schedule mean a lot, and guys get naturally excited about, fans get excited about, and certainly we are going to have, 3 straight games down there that are going to be, against high-level competition, against well-coached teams, and it's going to be fun for our guys to compete in that environment.
I know that because of the AAU is so prolific, these kids are used to playing 3 and 4 games in 4 and 5 days and traveling and doing all that other stuff. How close is something like this to when you get to Brooklyn in March, when the NCAA is in March, and getting them into the habit of turning over real quick?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the reasons you want to do it, quite honestly. You want to play against, high-level competition, whether it's neutral site, on the road, or at home. You want to have those opportunities to play, some of the best competition in the country, and certainly we're going to face that this weekend. But the guys are used to it. Like you said, they've played in AAU. They've played, 2 straight days, 3 straight days, whatever it is. I know we have a day in between before that last day of competition, but it definitely is something that you can reach back to, when you get to March, and remember what you felt like, in that game 2, right, and then game 3, and how you have to kind of reach back even deeper, to get a little bit more. And at that time of the year in March, the practices aren't as long, and you're cutting back on a lot of things. Their information is embedded. They know it more. They know kind of who they are at that point, as a team, and how they have to play in order to be successful. And so there are some differences as well. Right now we're still trying to find ourselves, as are most teams, 4 games in.
What kind of a new challenge does Iowa State present that maybe you haven't seen yet?
Yeah, I mean, they're one of the best defensive teams in the country. I mean, Coach does a great job, with his team, this year. They've got some guys back from last year's team that had a lot of success and were a formidable team in the Big 12. Everything kind of starts with their defense, and they turn their defense into offense quickly. One of the best teams in the country at doing that and getting steals. And so we're going to have to, it's been a challenge for us so far this year, obviously. It's been an Achilles heel for us early in the season. We've had some games where we've done fine with it, but others where, not so much. And so certainly is going to be a big key to the game.
Through 4 games, what are you proud of the most so far? Looking back on film, what do you see and say, we're doing that really well and need to keep doing it?
Yeah, I mean, I think since the first game, the competitiveness, and the effort, has been there. The first game, going back and looking at it pretty quickly, we were able to tell, for whatever reason, we weren't going after it, as hard as we needed to do. And certainly that could be a lot of different things. I don't think it was they wanted to do that. I think it was more maybe a tentative thing. And we've tried to release some of that, from our guys, and hope that they'll begin to kind of break out of it. And we're trying to make our pieces fit. That's really what we're trying to do. And until that time happens, defensively, we've got to hang our hat on the defensive end. And I think we've picked that up. We're further along maybe even than I expected from a defensive perspective right now. Than maybe I thought we would be.
I know you're probably tired of getting asked this at this point, but any update on Sean? Is there any chance that we could see him in Orlando?
Nah, I mean, I don't expect to see him down there. I mean, he's progressing well, right now, and we want to make sure that he has every opportunity to heal and not rush it. And so, we're just trusting, our trainer Josh Wall and Ruth Bruce, obviously, with helping him, get back, and our doctors, as well, just monitoring kind of the progressions. And he's hitting every mark right now, and we're excited that he's doing so well. He's feeling good, and when you're in that situation, you have surgery and you're kind of limping around for a while, you lose the muscles around, maybe not right where the injury is, around that can be they have to be worked back into shape. And so the worst thing we could do is put it back in there too early, and risk further injury.
Has he been a bit of a coach for you guys in his time off the floor? The guys were saying after the game the other day that he was talking a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's been through it, right? He's been through some big games and played in big moments, and has had some of the struggles that some of these guys are having right now as well. So he's been through that, and then turned it around into a positive. And he understands, a lot about how we want to play and what it takes to win. And always hear him in huddles, always hear him at halftime and timeouts, certainly in practice. He's talking to the guys, when they're in the gym alone, he's talking to them. And so that's a real benefit. And Joe did a really nice job in our last game as well, being very vocal.
Can you scout the rest of the field at all much, or are you just kind of focused on Iowa State and then you figure it out after that?
Yeah, I mean, the assistant coaches definitely have to. I mean, they have to work ahead, otherwise you'd be behind and you won't have enough time in order to do it. And so you've got to be able to, two of the teams that you're going to play automatically, after game one. And so, we have to have a familiarity going into the tournament with those two. And then the other side, then you kind of begin, you don't want to overwork yourself. You kind of begin to take notice of what those teams are like and how they play. If there's any, things that, are not normal, right, that you would need to prep for, you want to have those going in as opposed to like the day before the game.
Because of the headache that scheduling has become, especially for teams at the A10 level, these events carry even more significance because it's a shot that you guys get that you probably wouldn't get otherwise every year or more regularly. Do you share that with the guys, or do they know it and just know the opportunity they have in front of them? Because you wouldn't get an Iowa State to come here, but you can get them at least on a neutral site.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a benefit for us, certainly, and I think our guys understand. I mean, these are big games. They're all big games in the non-conference right now. I mean, a lot of these games that happen right now, the NCAA will look back at. The committee will look back at later on when it's that time at the end, and say, how did they do? How did they fare? In some of those games, and so our guys understand that it's a huge opportunity for us.
Have you looked around much at the rest of the A10 and kind of taking stock of what other teams are doing in the non-conference?
Yeah, you kind of take, you look around, you watch some games when you can, but obviously our focus right now is always on what's next, for us, and how can we get a little bit better, not what are we going to have to beat, come January. I think what we do right now is we just cheer for the other teams. I mean, that's really what we do. We want all the A10 teams to do their best, in this non-conference, because it not only it just strengthens our overall numbers, and I think that's one of the things that certainly we need to have happen.
How'd you pick Rose up? What were the conversations between the coaches and him, encouragement and moving on from the ejection the other day?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just he was in there yesterday, in the gym, working and meeting with Jay Wall and just trying to get his mind right. He's made a mistake and certainly owns up to that mistake, and we just have to move on, to the next thing. It's certainly not something that we would have wanted him to do, and sometimes in the heat of the moment things happen, and it did, and ultimately you have to take responsibility for mistakes that you make, and he paid for it, obviously, and so we got to let it go. You pay for the mistake and then you move on, learn from it.
Thanksgiving plans?
Yeah, we're just going to be with the team. We'll have a dinner tomorrow night when we get there, but Thanksgiving Day will be a little bit more difficult because we play that day, so it won't be normal. But we played on Christmas last year, so it is what it is.
Okay.